All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Founder Institute event. My name is Mohammed Santarisi. I'm the Managing Director at Founder Institute Middle East, and we have a very special session today. We actually have a special treat in store for everyone who's going to stay with us until the end of the session. As we bring seasoned speakers with us who are basically ready to uncover the mysteries behind building the perfect pitch deck from the investor's lens. I'll let them talk more about that in a bit. But just let me tell you, for those who are not familiar or who joined us for the first time and not familiar with, about the Founder Institute, never heard of it. Founder Institute is basically the world's largest pre-seed accelerator where we help startups or founders turn their ideas into startups, and we help startups turn their companies into global companies. We have operations across 100 countries across the globe in 6 continents, and we always take pride in supporting our portfolio companies that exceeded 7,000 companies around the globe again. A bit about the agenda. These events that we run, we always try to educate, support, and give back to the founder community at large. You can always go back and check our YouTube channels. There are tons of topics in every aspect of the startups, and this is one of these very special sessions. We'll start with our speakers, Vladimir and Arthur. Thank you guys so much for joining us. They will go through a presentation. Once we're done with that presentation, please prepare your questions because we have some Q&A part at the end of the event for 10 or 15 minutes, depends on the time that we have. So our speakers can answer all of your questions that are related to basically to how to build a pitch deck. We will delve into the art and science behind it and how to basically not only capture the attention of your audience, but how to leave a lasting impression on potential investors that you are talking to. Without further ado, I'll leave you guys, Arthur and Vladimir. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I'll leave you do like a quick intro and delve into this. And everyone here on the call, please prepare your questions on the go, add them to the chat, and we'll ask our speakers to answer them.
Yeah, thank you so much for this intro. And yeah, so hey everyone, name is Arthur. We are going to tell you a bit more today about what investors want to see in your pitch deck in 2024. To do so, we actually conducted a research where we asked several investors, VCs, angels, and even accelerators, what are the key focuses for them while they are reviewing your pitches and what they want to see there. I think that the most important part for you to keep your time and to actually look through the entire presentation is that we are going to share with you these insights in full in a report that you will get at the very end of the presentation. So without further ado, I think, Vlad, let's do the pitching of ourselves.
Yeah, again, it's a pleasure to be here. Let us firstly pitch ourselves. So for the last 4 years at LaunchDeck, we've been helping startups close their rounds with quality investor materials and then scale their brands with all things visual. And we've been really engaged in the venture capital community, again, mentoring in Founder Institute. And recently, we've even became scouts at Flashpoint VC. So we really want to uncover all these mysteries behind building a pitch decks, because as we circle back to the theme of this presentation, well, the question, what should I include in a pitch deck or how do I do my pitch deck, should be very easy question for a founder. But in reality, this is way harder than it should be. And the reason behind this whole thing is that firstly, the venture capital landscape like is pretty crazy right now. We are at 5-year low with the deal flow, and this is the time where you founders should basically put more effort into standing out and really fundraising. And this is like, these are hard times, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for you to stand out even more. And when you actually ask this question, what investors want to see in my pitch deck, then you go to, for instance, Google, and you Google a perfect pitch deck. And the first thing that you see when you Google it are these decks: Uber, Facebook, Airbnb, etc. These are nice decks for the time, but these are completely irrelevant for the current fundraising landscape, because 15 years ago, everything was different and investors were looking to different things than now. And this is ridiculous, because there are a lot of frameworks, a lot of these pitch decks that do not give any substance right now. These are great decks. They worked when they were pitched this way, but now what we want to do is to go actually to the source. We went to VCs, to people that actually make the decision and that actually put funds into your startup, fueling your growth. And we asked more than 100 VCs, including Plug and Play, Presto, Starta, etc., big names, what they really want to see in your decks, and what are they, what are their priorities when they're looking through a deck. And we try to make it as relevant as possible with 11 plus industries and 7 plus regions. So these insights are applicable for most of the startups actually. And we believe that you will have a great time implementing all this advice into your decks for a more comfortable pitching process. So yeah.
Yeah, by the way, just while we're at it and we're talking about regions, if you want, you could put in the chat where you're going to pitch or where you're pitching right now, which region, whether you're going to pitch in your homeland or you are going globally and you are applying to different accelerators, VC funds, etc. So feel free to share. So yeah, let's continue with like the most obvious part. Let's talk a bit about what is a pitch deck. Probably you know the answer, but let's just uncover some things here. So the first thing is what you really need to remember. There are two kinds of pitch decks. First is the one that you use while you are doing the pitch, while you are a person who presents your startup. And this is just something that you keep behind yourself, that helps you with your narrative, that helps you with everything that you are going to tell, and bullet points the key ideas. And the second one is the one that you use for cold outreach, to send via email, in LinkedIn, or however you'd like. And what you need to remember is that pitch deck helps you to engage and build trust, but at the same time, the key idea is that it should drive some specific action. This action, in like most of the times, will be that you actually need investment, but sometimes it's different. Sometimes you're looking for a partner, sometimes you're looking for even an advisor or someone who would join you as a part of the team. So no matter what the case is, you should really think about what particular call to action you want to include in the very end of your deck. And moving on with the next slide, which is pitch deck is important. Wow, that's a new one, right? But we all know that pitch deck is an instrument that you actually use and which helps you as a startup to grow. However, it is more important that actually all the VCs, accelerators, and angel investors do agree not only that it is important, but the quality of this document is as important as that you just have it. So focusing more about making the document better is actually one of the things that you want to think about. So yeah, as we already talked, we have two kinds of pitch decks that we share or that we use during the meeting. So now we'll talk a bit about the one that you're actually sharing. And we asked when investors really want to see a pitch deck. Do they want it before a meeting? Do they want it after the meeting? And in what proportion? And we all know that like pitch deck is your intro material. However, you also have lots of other documents that you might potentially want to share, which are the white papers, one-pagers, and financial model. So as you can see before the meeting, the most important one is a pitch deck. If you are doing an intro, if you are doing cold messaging, please include in your communication channel your pitch deck that will tell more about your startup and will actually help investors to understand whether they want or do not want to continue your conversation. On the other hand, after the meeting, especially when we're talking VCs, the most important document is a financial model. But as you also can see on this graph on the right, pitch deck still remains one of the key documents that you will need to share, because still financials is something that will probably be the key decision making document, but the pitch deck still remains constant. And yeah, let's move to the next one. So, Vlad, how do we level the pitch?
So yeah, right now we know that pitch deck is, well, important. That's a new one. So how do we actually make it stand out? How do we level up our pitch decks? And you can do this basically in three ways. Every presentation making process consists of three main points. The first one is your content and structure, because structure is a backbone of your pitch, and your content and your messages are the things that actually persuade investors and keep them engaged. And this is the most important part of the process. Then goes design. And design of your pitch deck basically enhances all of your messages and ties together all the narratives that you are trying to convey with your presentation. Finally, you have presentation, well, pitching process. How do you pitch yourself? This is the part where you really want to practice your pitching with your friends, colleagues, and like mock investors. But at the same time, right now, we'll focus on the first two, because presentation process is a pretty subjective one, and we focus on content and design for our research as parts that can be easily tweaked by you. So, Arthur, how can we really make our content stand out?
Yeah, so the content, as we said, is one of the most important parts. Yes, design makes it look better and more readable. However, you should really know what you're talking about and show confidence in your content. First, let's start with great news, actually. That was an insight for us, first of all. But as you can see, most of the investors are actually thinking that the pitch decks that they review has pretty much nice narratives, which is wonderful. However, we still have this 1/3 of people who really think that the structure should be a little bit better, which is why we want to share with you a couple of insights how you could enhance the structure of your pitch deck. So we have 2 slides for it and 6 key blocks, which you could use as a skeleton for the presentation that you are going to prepare or review in the nearest future. So the first block is an intro section, which includes obviously a title slide and executive summary. A couple of hints here. So first of all, I want to see on your title slide what your presentation is going to be about. So please do not just put a logo there and a nice picture. This doesn't give me any context at all. Add there a short sentence, 5 words that would make me understand the core idea and what am I going to review. Then the executive summary. So the executive summary is basically a slide that helps the investor understand whether they want to proceed reading the entire presentation or they will close it because it is not a fit for the particular VC or they just do not invest in these kind of projects, etc. So what you want to do is to put an executive summary of what you're going to present, telling me why you are doing it right now, what is your core differentiator, and what exactly you are going to do. Then the classic section of problem and solution. And I think the core tip here is that you want them to be interconnected. So if you are stating that there are 3 particular problems, I want to see on the solution slide how you are going to solve these 3 particular problems. Do not just put random problems and then your solution that somehow, well, basically solves it, but I'm not sure because I actually need to think more about it. So what you don't want to do is make the investor think more than they should. And then with the market landscape, pretty obvious part, you are showing in which particular market your solution is going to operate, and which are the key players within this market, which is the competition slide. And then the project viability section, basically everything business related that you might mention. What is your business model? How you're going to monetize the product? Who would be the target audience for it? And some proof of concept and traction, which we will revert to a couple of times during this presentation, because traction right now in 2024 is one of the core things that you should show to the investor. And then the financials, how you're going to scale in the nearest future, and something that would actually be important for the investor to understand whether your project is worth the money. The next step section could be expanded, really. We summarize this in the strategic roadmap because this is a pretty much solid slide that could tell everything that you want to share with the investor. However, you could also add here a go-to-market strategy, for instance, if you'd like to. And the closing section, last but not least, please tell me more about your team. This is important because I need to know who are the people behind your project, what is their expertise, and how this experience and expertise will actually help this project grow. The ask slide. We reviewed hundreds of decks, and I would say that like 50% or even more of them did not have the ask slide. It is like absolutely crucial to have the particular ask from the investor, because otherwise, what is exactly the point of the deck? And the context, well, that's an obvious thing. You need to show the investor how you would like to communicate with them and make it as easy as possible for them to reach out to you.
Yeah, well,
So,
this is
yeah.
a pretty solid baseline structure for your deck. Of course, you can tune it to match your project better, but this is the right start for you. But at the same time, there are a couple of considerations you might want to make depending on the project you have. So as you can see here, we have 2 very particular slides, executive summary and team. And when we ask investors where they want to see these slides, their opinions divided. So executive summary, you can place it either in the beginning of the deck or right before the ask slide, for instance. So if you want to really give a quick filter for an investor in the beginning, so that they can make the decision quickly and well, give them an opportunity to do so, please make an executive summary in the beginning of the deck. And if you really want to emphasize key points and key messages of your pitch deck, then you can put it again near the end before the ask slide, so they can understand again all the key messages before you ask them for something, for funding, for partnerships, etc. And in terms of the team slide, again, you should play from your strength. If you really think that your team and the people on your team are your core differentiator as a startup, then put it up front, put it in the beginning of the deck. But if you just want to introduce the team to the investor, you can put it before the product roadmap or strategic roadmap, for instance, so that investor can see who will execute all the points you promise on your strategic roadmap. This is the first one. And the second consideration is about the approach to structuring your deck. again, well, we all love stories, and we as humans really love stories, and investors are no exception. So if you are a great storyteller, please try to use some kind of a storytelling narrative throughout your deck. It will really engage your investors and viewers more. But if you are not a great storyteller, that's also all right, because straight to the point structure still works. And this storytelling aspect is more like a bonus, not a necessity for pitching. And keep in mind that every investor is different. You might come across some, I don't know, angel investors that really love stories, and you can at the same time go to an accelerator and find out that they have their own structure and they want you to follow the structure to these slides. So these are considerations you want to make according to investors. And yeah, well, we're strangers sharing a space taxi on the way to the Galaxy Tech Expo. Arthur, this is a very strange question. What does it mean?
Yeah, so basically there was a wake-up question for the investors who were actually participating in the research, and it unravels some of the most important aspects of the pitch deck that are important for the investor. So basically what we ask here is, okay, you know what solution is. What is the next most important thing for you? And we got actually pretty interesting answers. So as you can see, like from our perspective, like the competition matters, the market matters, the financials do matter. However, none of them are actually on the first spot, or even first two spots. So the first question that pops into the investor's mind is, how will you make it work? Which basically refers to how you are going to take this solution and scale it to the future. How and what would be your step-by-step plan to reaching the market, to actually evolve this product, etc. And the next one, the team. Yes, especially in the early stages, your team is one of the core and key differentiators that you have. So you need to emphasize that your experience and expertise would actually drive growth to the project. Okay, and then, oh yeah, Blitz section. So these are questions that we usually receive from our clients, and we think that this is important to cover very briefly here. So what about advisors? From the perspective of a person who is an advisor, it really hurts, but no one really cares about whether you have advisors or you don't have advisors. So yeah, 55%, sorry, tells that if you have them or you don't have them, it doesn't matter. But really, just do not include advisory board or something like that in your pitch. It just makes the presentation longer and doesn't add any particular value in total. Then sources. So yeah, 95% of investors expect you to add sources. From our point of view, 100% cases should be backed with sources. So if you are pointing out some problems that you figured in the market, please let me know. How did you find this problem? Whether there is some kind of document that actually backs it, or you did your own research, created a focus group, etc. So yeah, back everything. And finally, what is the optimal number of the slides that you should have within your pitch? So the easy answer is try to do 10. If you cannot make it to 10 slides, then 15 is your max. So that would be it with the content side of it.
Yeah, and just one small hint towards the slide count. So if you feel that you do not have the ability to condense all your great content into 15 slides, well, you can have some additional slides as a backup after the context slide if you are pitching, or you can just take this information and put it into the separate document. For instance, your product slide, product deck with all the info about the product, or white paper about the technology, or some other I don't know, like key like blurb with key messages about the project if you want to really put in writing all the points about your vision, etc. And then you basically do a folder in Google Drive, basically your data room for an investor to explore. But yeah, as Pitch Deck is an introductory document, please try to keep it brief. And then we move on to the design part. The author, thanks a lot for giving us basically a structure and tips to make our content better. And in terms of the design, well, the key point here that we want to make is that you shouldn't be a professional designer to make a good looking deck. And we will give you the tips that are applicable if you do not know what a design is and you are not an experienced designer. So firstly, we'll start with 3 principles, very easy ones that will make your presentation look more professional. The first one is about your font sizes. So you really want to include no more than 3 font sizes on the slide. For instance, as you can see here, 1 font size for the heading of the slide, 1 font size for the main body of the slides, the messages, and finally a small font size for the launch deck.space, basically our footer. So this is the first principle. The second one is also easy to remember: no more than 3 colors in your deck. So please choose 1 accent color and use it to highlight some important points, and maximum 2 additional ones, and this will make your deck really sleek. And please do not make your deck into a peacock with 10 different colors. It will be very hard to read for an investor, and it's all about making the viewing experience as comfortable as possible for the viewer. And finally, quality visuals. Please use high quality icons, high quality photos, etc. Do not use pixelated or distorted photos, because this really shows the quality and the effort that you put into the deck. There are tons of free stocks with icons, illustrations, different photos that you can use to source quality assets. So put a bit more effort into it when doing your page deck. And again, the point here is that design matters. And if you want an investor to really prioritize your deck and put it on top of the deck of different presentations, then use design to your advantage, because 69% of investors will prioritize a well-designed deck, and at the same time 11% of them won't even look through the decks that are not designed. So please try to at least make your deck look professional and readable, and do not provide investors with decks with black text on white slides. It might work in some cases, but the chance that you are this outlier is very slim. So please put your effort and do your homework before sending your deck to the investor.
Yeah, sorry, but just okay. While we're moving on to this slide, so you said that if I'm not a professional designer, I can still do pretty sleek slides, right? Okay, so I added a couple of my slides here in the deck, so you could show your non-professional, non-designer magic.
Yeah, so this slide is pretty strange. So with all my respect to you, Arthur, the CEO of our agency, I think that it can be enhanced. And the really simple solution to this slide here will be to just align it better, because right now it's all over the place. So the first trick that we can use as a non-designers to make our slides better is to use a workspace. And workspace is basically your imaginary rectangle that you draw in your mind or with guides in PowerPoint, for instance, that's basically outlines the area where your content lies. And you can see it pretty clear here. And this way you will have a space for your headings, a space for your content inside this workspace, and then below it you will have the small sections for your footnotes, links, etc.
Okay, here you go. So I lined everything. Now it looks fine.
Well, it looks fine, but it's really hard to read. This is just some text, like 3 paragraphs of text that will take me like 2 minutes to go through and understand. And the second principle that we can use is to actually use icons and subheadings. It's again very easy to do. All we need to do here is just to add some subtitles, subheadings, which are telling us the main messages of each paragraph. And then again, if we want to take it even further, add some icons, because icons are literally a superheroes of visual communication, and they usually help the viewer to understand key messages faster and more effective. And in this case, with this like upgrade of this slide, investor can glance through it in 2 seconds, understand all the main points with these subheadings, and then if he is interested in this slide or in project in general, then he can basically go deeper into the text and read the whole slide.
Okay. Well, you have subheadings, icons, everything's aligned here, so that's the perfect one.
Well, it's better than the previous ones, of course, but again, it just looks plain. I see a lot of numbers here. I see a lot of basically charts, and I don't know where to look like in this slide. And the third principle that we can use here is to basically add some visual hooks by using either shapes or colors. And this is the, well, upgraded slide. Again, very easy. We just added some visual highlights with our color. So I can see revenue streams, the first point of interest for me, and then 1 million mark on the right. And this is where we want investors to look. We don't want them to look at small numbers. We want to really focus their attention, and we want to guide their eyes through the slides with highlights and with shapes like this arrow, basically where we put the million. These principles are pretty easy to do. You just need to constantly remind yourself about the need of guiding viewers' attention, of making it easier for them to read through your deck. And the final point here is that, well, you've done your content, you've done your design, you've pitched, practiced your pitch, you pitched to the investors, and you might think that this is it. This is the last version of the deck that you will have. But in reality, there are no perfect pitch decks, and you will not have a perfect pitch deck, and that's all right, because every time that you look at your pitch deck, you will want to make it better. And the approach to really making your pitch deck work is circular. You need to do your content, you need to design your deck, you need to present it to investors or any other viewers, and then you need to collect feedback for you to iterate on. And in terms of feedback, please remember that not all the feedback is useful. You need to filter it through your vision, because you want to align it with your project. So yeah, not all feedback is golden, and use it wisely.
Speaking about golden advices and stuff, so we also wanted to highlight some of the key takeaways from the investors who participated in our research. So on the next slide, you can see some of the tips that they shared. I will briefly skim through them and tell the key ideas behind each of them. So the very first one, you should focus on bottom-up market sizing, which is kind of controversial to the textbook approach to market sizing, which is usually top-down. So during the top-down approach, what do? You open your laptop and you go to Google and you're like, okay, I am within the IT market. So I will Google IT market size in and like your location, for instance. And then you will collect the data this way and you will put it on the slide. This is top-down approach. Bottom-up is a bit different. During your assessment of your market by Googling it, you might find that the numbers are a bit vague in particular to your case. So what you want to do is actually use your own unit economics. So for instance, you are selling a product with a subscription of $10 per month. So you will have $120 per year, and then you will see that within your market niche, you will have around, 1 million potential customers. So your market size would be this 1 million potential customers multiplied by $120. And this would be within your target market. Then you're going to expand. And while expanding, you will reach out to another, 100 million people. So you will multiply your unit economics on these 100 million people, and you will get a number that would actually represent the entirety of your market. So the first one would be probably your SAM, and the the bigger part of the market while you are expanding will be your total addressable market. Then the current and potential traction. So as we already told you, traction is very important in 2024. So if what you want to do is to include it and try to convince the investor that your solution actually works, that you already have customers, that you already have some revenue, but obviously in the early stages, this is very hard to do. And what you could do to avoid not having a traction slide within your deck is to show a very clear path to getting this traction. For instance, you are now preparing for the release of your product. So obviously you do not have any customers yet. However, you already have signups for a demo. And the 10 people who signed up to try your product once it is released is already traction. Or even if you don't have demos, you don't have signups, that's all right. You can also have some kind of focus group with your potential clientele who would tell you that, yes, this product is actually what they were looking for a very long time, and they are happy that at some point it will be released on the market. So you quote this and you put it on the slide, and you are saying that, yeah, we spoke with 7, 10, 20 potential customers, and this is what they are telling us about the project that we are working on. This is also traction. And finally, yes, explain everything like you are talking to a 5-year-old. This is a very straightforward advice, which is 100% true. Do not try to overwhelm your audience, your investors, your potential partners with how much complicated words and terms you know within your market niche. This does not impress anyone, but it makes it really hard to understand what you're talking about. So try to use visual metaphors, try to explain everything in very simple concepts that even a person from different industry even would understand and get the ideas that you are talking. So yeah, I think this more or less wraps it up with the core part of this presentation.
Yeah. Well, first of all, as we told you, this is the link to the full report. We'll put it in the chat as well for you to get access to it. And now I believe we can go through the questions that you left in the chat. I will just take a link, Arthur. If you can start with the questions, that would be perfect.
Thank you guys so much. It's really interesting how two same slides can totally change with like a small touch in the design. And thank you, Arthur, for also touching upon the traction part, because this is, I believe, a dilemma for every early stage founder, specifically if they are pre-revenue. I think what you mentioned would give the confidence for the investors and the founders themselves to basically show that we are progressing, right? Everyone, please shoot me questions in the chat. While you do that, I do have a couple of questions that I'd like to hear your take on. You mentioned the story part, right? Especially at the beginning. And we all know that if a founder is pitching, they have like 2, 3, maybe maximum 5 minutes, it depends. But if we want to talk about the average, it's like 3 minutes. What's your take on founders who start with a story that is appealing, but they take maybe like 1/3 of their time talking about that story before starting digging into the problem, right? I would like to know what's your take on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, this situation where founder is focusing too much of us on the story is not very good, like in my honest opinion, because well, this is all about finding the right balance between story and content. And what you really want to know is to do your content first, and then try to weave in different like parts of your story into this content. So if you want to tell the story of how you discovered that there is no solution for, I don't know, automation of legal processes in law firms, for instance, you can tell that like you can put your team slide first, or yourself, like team with yourself highlighted on it first, and then tell a story of how you worked for like 20 years in law firms, and this is your pain point. You didn't have the sources of automation, and it all took a long time to do simple tasks, and this will be an element of a story. Then when you go to your, I don't know, traction, then you can just put slides with use cases and talk a bit more about your like favorite client and your like the magic that they feel from your product, again in the story format. And so try to make the story part complement your content and not take away from it. Again, don't tell your story for like 2/3 of the presentation time. Just try to connect it smartly. It is pretty hard to do this like fluently, but if you master it, again, investors will appreciate it.
Thank you. And what's your thoughts on animated slides? And when I say animated, I'm talking about like the full 13-ish or 15 slides that are animated. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's not a great idea in most cases, just because like we are now usually pitching some things in this kind of environment. And we are talking online, and not all the time you have the perfect internet connection on both ends. And once you present a presentation with animations, that would be in 80% of cases just a laggy something that doesn't really make any appeal to the deck at all. If you like really want to add some animations, make them as smooth as possible, and something that will not exactly distract the viewer. So if we're looking at the particular slide we have here, during our like live sessions, this cosmic thingy, whatever it is, usually rotates on this axis, and it doesn't really like distract because it does it slowly. But well, when you notice it, and it's like, wow, okay, that's cool, and probably you will forget about it after that. So it is something that could be nice if you are doing a presentation on stage and you really want to grab an attention of a viewer. If you are presenting your case to the investor via Zoom conference or anything like that, our first advice would be to avoid using animations, or at least too much animations.
Yeah, again, it's all, well, about balance. Don't try to make animations that can distract from your content. As Arthur said, if you want to do some animations, make them just a nice visual treat in the part where there is no content or where you want to grab attention. Don't use like levitating and flying pie charts in your market section. This will not help the viewer understand the key messages.
Yeah, I totally double click on that, especially in this kind of environment. If someone is pitching online with the lagging and all Zoom difficulties, I think it basically makes people lose attention, I would say. We have a couple of questions here, and we have a couple of minutes already left. So Rawan is asking, what is the difference between a one-pager and a white paper?
Yeah, I will try to quickly answer to this. So basically, a one-pager is your summary slide from the presentation, but you put it on an A4 format that is easier to read from like a smartphone or something. So what you want to do is to summarize everything that you have in a pitch deck into one list of things that would explain how your project works, what is the key differentiator of it, what is the connection between the pain points on the market that you figured and your solution, and it gives a brief overview of your solution. It does not go into too much details. It is just something that would catch the attention, and then if this worked, then the investor would ask more questions. They will request a pitch deck. They would request a call, etc. So this is basically you can call it your startup card that you just share with everyone, and someone who is interested, they will dial a number, and then you will share all the different documents that they will request. Regarding the white paper, this is a very complicated document that is usually used either by Web3 crypto startups or deep tech startups. This is a document that will explain in more detail how your technology works, because you do not want to spend a lot of time trying to explain complex things during your presentation. But if an investor would like to know more about how the technology works, they would actually review the white paper document and understand how you came up with the idea, how the technology actually could be implemented in different sectors, etc., etc. So every particular detail that you might think of regarding your innovation, your technology, that will go to the white paper.
Amazing. We have also two questions from Marco. He's asking, is it okay for a pitch deck to be shared in PowerPoint format? Or I don't know, maybe or as a PDF? Because PowerPoints are slides are there to support the presenter themselves. So
Yeah. I see this question. In general terms, you want to share your presentation in a PDF format, because PowerPoint, if you share a PowerPoint, then your fonts, for instance, might get lost, and well, it might get corrupted, etc. PDF is a safe file format to use. And in terms of the supporting the presenter part, yes, of course, as Arthur said, ideally you will have two kind of presentations, two kind of decks. The first deck is for you to present again. So you can use it as a support for your speech. It will contain less text and will be just the supportive material. And then the raw pitch deck that you send. And in this case, this will be a PDF that you will share with investors. Yes, great points about supporting the presenter, and please use PDF and not PPT, because PPT can get corrupted during the sending process.
Yeah, I would also add there are tons of platforms where you can track this PDF that you send, how many times it got clicked on, which slides investors spent much time on, and based on that, you will be able to iterate and change based again on the interest. He also asked how relevant it is to have ESG component incorporated in the pitch itself.
Arthur, yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. So it really depends. So this is the shortest answer I can give here. So just quickly to speak about the environmental, social, and corporate governance aspect of it. Usually, the one case that I can remember where it actually did matter is when you are applying for government acceleration programs. There are lots of them. Well, we had a case in Netherlands. They're really open to these kind of ideas, where you basically pitch why your business, your startup, is a very good fit for the particular country. And while you're applying there, you should really think about how your project, your product, your solution would fit in terms of the impact of the social impact, the environmental impact, etc. And in that sense, yes, it could be added. In a classic framework that is usually pitched to VCs, that's not the key point to focus on. However, it always could be one of the features, one of the just bullet points that you add to some specific slide if you want to highlight it. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Vlad, you wanted to add something, or
no, just play from the your audience. If you are going to climate tech VC, then of course add it. If you are going to just some angel that is just wants to see your working business model, do not waste his time with the points that can be added in your data room, because you can share all the points you want in your data room.
Amazing. We'll take one more question regarding the section you guys talked about. The most question investors ask is how will you make it work? Having that said, you also mentioned that no need for a lot of technical details. So how can someone balance this?
Yeah. So in terms of the question, how will you make it work? It doesn't really require you to tell the entire what is under the hood of your project. It is about how, you mentioned that you are doing, let's say for the sake of example, you are doing some HR optimization platform. So how will you make it work is more about, okay, the solution is ready. What will you do next? What will be the target audience that you are going to attract in the very beginning? How you're going to scale? How you are going to monetize it? And what is your step-by-step penetration strategy into the market that you are going to work on? So how will you make it work is less about what exactly the technology is and what is under the hood, and more about how you're going to make it work business-wise. how you are going to make this route from point A when you have a wonderful solution, but do not have a lot of customers, do not have a lot of coverage, etc., to the point B when you are a multi-billion-dollar company that is worth investing into.
Yeah, I would add also, because again, like you said, Arthur, how would you make it work? It's not only about the slides themselves, it's about also the team, how relevant and how frequent this problem is, and is your solution really solving that kind of a problem? Not really, not necessarily covering the exact technical details behind how are you solving it behind the scenes, because if you are able to solve it, if you know the problem, if you are obsessed with the problem, I think that's what every investor wants to see, because you'll be able to find the right solution if you again have the right team. Guys, thank you so much again for this. This was really insightful. Tons of data and a lot of interesting insights. Thank you everyone also for joining us for this session. We always happy to see founders joining our network and trying to learn more about these kind of webinars and what we do. Again, I want to thank you, Vladimir, Arthur, for this amazing session, and we will stay in touch very soon.
Yep. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.